Welcome to Top to Bottom Male Romance Podcast, where we celebrate all things male romance. I am Jessica.
And I'm Markie.
And this is our July bottom episode where we're going to talk about our summer reading.
Yes. Before we get started on all the fun books that we got to read this month, I just wanted to mention our reader groups that we have. We do have a reader group on both Facebook and Goodreads where you can jump in and talk about any cool books that you're reading. You can discuss the bottom books with us. If you found any cool movies or comic book series that you started, anything related to male romance, you can jump in and talk about that. We also have a Patreon set up where our patrons learn about upcoming author interviews and can submit author questions. So definitely go check us out if you haven't been able to do that yet.
And as usual, if you haven't rated us yet on iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify, or whatever it is you listen to us on, please go and do that. It really helps us out a lot. And I guess without further ado, let's talk about our summer reading.
Yeah, we did something a little different this time around. Instead of picking just one book that we picked for our bottom pick for the month, I've said pick like 5 times, sorry. We decided to go through and read a bunch of books this month. And a lot of the books we actually didn't read together. So we both kind of read our own things, which is kind of fun. So we get to discuss the books that we read and can kind of talk about them. We're also going to try to refrain from too many spoilery things. So I'm going to try really hard. I hope I don't spoil anything.
Yeah, and we also have, in the Goodreads discussion group, we have a thread for most, if not all of these books. Mm-hmm. So if you have read them or read them now and want to jump in, you can talk to us about them there. We're super happy to do so.
Oh, absolutely. So I guess, do you want to go in the order that we put them on Goodreads?
We can do that with a little bit of an exception. We'll talk about that in a sec. But okay. This was actually super fun because I don't usually have a ton of time to read, and getting through more than a book or two in a month is just really unusual for me. And I just like plowed through some books this month.
Yeah, I think you may have beaten me because you've read a lot this month, and I think I did 1, 2, 3 and 2 halves. So, and you did a bunch, so.
I did 4.5, I think.
Okay, so yeah, you beat me.
Well, 4 3/4, maybe. Okay. Yeah. Nice. So we'll dig into that in a sec. But so what did you start the month with?
I started with Here's for Ghosts, which is Jackie North's book, who is our fresh banana for this month. And it is about a time travel romance. So basically, and this isn't spoiling anything because it's in the blurb, basically somebody from World War I, a soldier from World War I, gets transported to the future of present day and stumbles across somebody who is basically a historian for World War I. Like, the guy's going to school and doing his thesis on World War I. It was really cute. That book was adorable as hell. I read it all in like one sitting. I really liked the chemistry between the two characters. The whole time travel thing is, there were moments in the book where I was just like, no, because like, I don't want to spoil anything, but there are moments where that will fluctuate at a terrible time, and you're not sure, like, since the rules aren't established because they both don't know really what's going on, you don't really know how they're going to navigate between the time zones, and it was really fun. Man, I don't know how to talk about this without spoiling anything, other than saying that if you like historical romance, Jackie does a really good job as far as you can tell she took the time to research World War I terminology and slang and how they would talk, which there's a funny thing where the person from present day basically brings up being gay, and he's like, there's nothing wrong with being gay, we're gay all the time, there's nothing wrong with being happy, and he's like, shit, that's not what I'm talking about, like that kind of stuff, because that wasn't a thing. But I really appreciate the fact that you can tell that North has done her homework, and a lot of it feels very authentic, and that the person who is from the present time is a historian, so he understands kind of where this person's coming from. It was really good. I enjoyed it, not just as a male romance, but as a geek about history. It was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I recommend it, and since she's a fresh banana, I mean, always go and support new authors, but it's really fun. I recommend picking it up.
Well, the first one I read, I don't want to talk about first because I may or may not have gone on a TJ Klune binge this month, but I separated it. I separated it out by, I would read a TJ Klune and then I'd read something else, and I'd read another Klune and then I'd read something else. So I read 3, well, 2.5. That's where the half comes in, and I'm halfway through one of them right now. But I want to talk about all those all at once, and I'll do that kind of towards the end. So I'm going to skip that one for right now.
Okay.
So I was doing both text and audio, and so chronologically, I'm a mess, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You don't have to go in order, just whichever one you want to talk about first. So even if you wanted to go with the last one you read, that's fine, I don't care.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go all over the place. Sure. So one of the ones I read, I've been meaning to read Lucy Lennox. I wanted to get into the Maid Marian series, so I started with Borrowing Blue. Super cute.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to consider pairing that with the heartache, destruction that T.J. Klune can cause a person, I was reading this at the time of the saddest of the Klune books I read this month. So it was a really good juxtaposition of fun, carefree, cleansing, happy ending kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I had also read Borrowing Blue a couple months previous, so yeah, that book is funny and fantastic and fluffy, and I think a very good palate cleanser from the tearjerkers that is T.J. Klune. So
yeah, so I will say I did audio on this one.
I did too when I listened to it.
And I don't remember the guy's name, but you do. I know you have because
Mike Pauly.
Okay,
Mike
so
Pauly.
that guy makes noises during
does.
sex scenes.
We had a great conversation about this because she was like, dude. She was like, I wasn't expecting that because we both listened to a bunch of audiobooks, but apparently this is your first Michael Pauly, and I adore him because he really gets into his roles. Like, he giggles when characters giggle, and he makes the most delicious fucking noises. Like,
literally
fucking
noises.
I am mildly stalkery of this guy. Like, I think, I don't remember the first book I listened to with him in it, but I recognized his name when I downloaded Lucy's because I was like, yes. But he's a photographer and stuff, so his Instagram is really cool. He's cool, and I love the way he portrays the characters. He gets their personality so great, and again, delicious noises, so what's not to love?
Yeah, and that book was definitely heavy on the sexy times.
Oh, man.
And when I listen to audiobooks, I'm in my car, right? I'm going to and from work. And
I know where this conversation
I get like super bashful. This is just any sex scene I ever listen to in my car.
Yeah, no, it's totally justified. I totally get where you're coming from.
Because I'll hear when other people are listening to something like that's audio, like just speaking, and you can't always pick out exactly what's being said, but that shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, especially if he's just like moaning and getting into it. It sounds like you're listening to porn in your car, which you are essentially. And so I can imagine where the anxiety will ratchet up to this.
Yeah, pull into the parking lot at the office. Driving by people, I'm like, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. It's 7 a.m. People don't need to listen to my sex.
See, that's where we differ, because I usually crank it up and just like sit there and marinate. Like, before I go into work, I'm like, today's going to be a good day.
Yeah, but I park by the executives.
Yeah, you have better parking than I do. To be fair, I park around the normies, so it's whatever.
So yeah, I get a little bashful about it, but it was a super fun read. I will definitely be diving into more of those.
I ended up not going in order with the Maid Marian stuff. I did Borrowing Blue, and then I skipped the second book, which I know Taming Teddy's really good because a lot of people talk about it, but I really wanted to go into Jude's book because I loved him immediately. I don't remember when I read that. It was a little while ago, but that one's fan-fucking-tastic. So go in order. If you get to Jumping Jude, shit, we gotta talk about that book because it was really good.
Sounds bueno.
So I think the next one I read after Heroes for Ghosts was Stealing the Wind by Shira Anthony, which is mermen, and that was awesome. So the lore in that book is fantastic. It basically, the first book sets up putting some questions in your head, and I assume the rest of the series kind of fleshes out more of what the kingdom is and how the species works and everything like that, because the main character doesn't know anything about the merman, so there's a lot of unanswered questions. Like, you kind of get a little bit of background, but not a ton. So it kind of makes you want to pick up the rest of the series. The beginning of it is very heavy on the sexy times, and then the middle of it is kind of building up the relationship between the two love interests, and there's a lot of kind of heart-wrenching moments, but it was pretty fun. I think I'm very much interested in seeing how that species comes to be with the humans, because it kind of alludes to them not having a lot of numbers left. So that's really interesting.
Is that a spoiler?
It's not a spoiler.
Okay.
Because it's, like, they talk about them being, like, not around anymore and that kind of stuff, but clearly they are, because mermen. But it's really good. I really enjoyed the characters. Like I said, the cultures and stuff like that are really interesting, and how the societal structure is around the EA, that's EA, probably saying it wrong, is really interesting. So I probably will continue reading the series a little bit later, but I really liked it. I was not disappointed at all when I read it. It was fantastic.
So, another one I read.
Okay.
I read Mysteries of Nevermore, which is the first of the Snow and Winter series from C.S. Poe. It's been so long since I've read a mystery. I honestly don't remember the last one I read. It was super fun. Just me going through the whole thing. Like, every time a new character is introduced, I'm like, are they the one who did it?
I remember you talking about that because we were talking about it at lunch at work, and you're like, they keep introducing characters, and I keep being like, so what's your alibi? Like, you really delved into it. It was fun. And I really wanted to get to that book so bad so we can, like, have an actual, like, bottom discussion about it and probably spoil the shit out of it. But I wasn't able to get to it, so I'm really bummed. But you really got me excited about it. I really want to pick it up.
Yeah, unfortunately with the nature of this book, like, the things I kind of want to talk about as far as, like, my own journey. Well, actually, there is something. So, inevitably, you always have kind of a moment in a lot of books, not even just mysteries, where you know that somebody's doing something stupid.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, okay, how are you going to get caught? Because this is about to be awful. This is about to be fucking awful.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been visiting a friend in downtown. I was driving through downtown Dallas, basically. And we live outside of Dallas. We don't live in it. But I'm driving through downtown of a big freaking city late at night. I don't like to drive at night. It was a Saturday night. And there's this scene happening.
Mm-hmm.
And even without this scene happening, like, I'm already, like, white knuckles on the wheel. Like, I don't like driving in the middle of the city, especially at night.
Mm-hmm.
So that was already stressing me out. And then we have this scene where a person is doing something really fucking stupid. Like, okay, there's a murder.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna go and check it out, are you?
Yeah.
You weren't already being suspicious? Oh, wait. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. You're gonna get caught. You're gonna have blood all over you. It's gonna be great. And they're gonna think you are the killer, and you're gonna be in jail. And this is what's gonna happen. And so I'm, like, stressing out, driving, and listening to that. So that's the emotional pull this book had on me.
Nice.
I was yelling in my car by myself, driving through downtown Dallas. So thank you, C.S. Poe, for that. But beyond that, I don't really want to talk too much about it because there's so much of the detail and stuff that I would normally want to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give away clues or anything. Like, it's
Right.
always something that you should kind of experience as you go through. That's the fun of reading a mystery. So I'll kind of leave it at that. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, and I will continue reading the series.
For sure. I don't think I've ever read an actual murder mystery novel. Like, I've seen plenty of movies and stuff like that, but I've never read Sherlock Holmes or any murder mystery things.
Just so everybody knows, I'm giving her a look right now.
Yeah. Sorry. So, I remember when you were talking about it, I was like, God, that sounds like so much fun. Like, I need to read something like that. So, yeah, that might be on my sooner rather than later to read list, which is forever long. So, let's see. What was next? All right. So I did the audio for Death and Destruction by Patricia Logan. I was, I think, a little of the way through Stealing of the Wind, and I had an Audible credit pop up. So I went back to my default genre that I love the most, which is cop drama. And I picked that one up after asking a group recommendation for it. I really like this series. I'll probably continue reading the rest of it. It's basically an FBI agent type person who has to go into protective custody, and the dude who's watching him is like this badass ex-Marine dude who does like recon work and bounty hunting shit. The characters are great. They're hilarious and opposite tracks kind of thing. They enemies to lovers, which is also my favorite fucking trope. All of my buttons were pushed on that. They were charismatic, they hated each other, and then they didn't. Funny, a lot of inside jokes kind of thing. The FBI agent who has to go into undercover ends up having to pick up a job as a civilian cutting hair, which was fucking hilarious. So it's a lot of humor, good characters, great sexy times. I really, really liked it. It very much was kind of reminded me of Abigail Rue's Cut and Run kind of thing, which
That's
is,
what I was just thinking.
Yeah, exactly. The same buttons I hit from that, but kind of different, but it was really good. So I listened to that religiously for like a good 2 weeks and finished that, and it was so good. Which actually, since I had used up my Audible credit on that, fantastic. I was waiting for another Audible credit to roll over, so I went into Abigail Rue's backlog, and Stars and Stripes is only $2 on Audible, so I bought that, and I'm listening to that currently. I haven't listened to it, but I've read that one at least 3 times, and now I'm listening to it again, and I forgot that the setting of Stars and Stripes is summertime in Texas. So I'm like, oh, good. They're going through hell just like we are. I love this book even more. But yeah, it was super good. If you like enemies to lovers, cop drama kind of shit, you probably already have read this because I'm kind of tardy to the party on this one. But man, it was really good. I really like this series. What was after? Okay. So I started Cassia Bacon's 21 Arrow Salute, which is super fun. I think I'm like maybe 20% through. And it's just like with The Mutt and The Highlander, they're cool little bite-sized books. So I'll be able to knock that one out probably in the next day or two.
I also started The Mutt.
Yeah.
I'm just a chapter in, but I'm enjoying it already. Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And I think this one from what I can tell from her group and from the Goodreads and stuff that I've been reading, this one's a little bit spicier, I think, than the other two, which is fun because her sex scenes in the Mutt and the Highlander are great, and I really adore her expanding more on the way that the order works as far as like the Queen's archers and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. And 21 Arrow Salute's a different couple from the Mutt and the Highlander, so it's been pretty fun. But I really wish I would have been able to finish it before we recorded this, but like we had talked about before we started, we have to pre-record these. So by the time this airs, I'll probably have finished and then gushed all over our reader group about how great it is, but we're recording this early, so I'm not done yet, but I'm thoroughly enjoying what I've read so far. It's been a blast, so.
Yeah, well, I had previously mentioned in our top episode that the three not male romance authors that I still follow all had books come out. So I did get a little distracted. I know I did a good job of reading a lot of this stuff, but I ended up reading one and I'm halfway through another of those, so I didn't get a whole lot of other time to read much else, except for the 2.5 TJ Klune books that I have gobbled up and am still in the process of gobbling up.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I did was Bear, Otter, and the Kid,
nice.
Which I picked that one up because I had just seen it mentioned in so many different places, and what I had previously read from TJ Klune was the Tales of Verania stuff and Wolfsong.
Mm-hmm.
So already two very different from each other kind of books. You have kind of an urban fantasy, dark, kind of gritty, realistic kind of situation versus a super high fantasy, ridiculous
Gary the Unicorn situation.
Gary the Unicorn situation. And then, so Bear, Otter, and the Kid is a total contemporary. Like, if there's no fantasy at all, it's about this kid is, I guess, in his early 20s at this point, and his mom took off when he was younger, when his little brother was really young, and basically left him to have to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And his little brother, the kid, Tyler, is this precocious little shit who is incredibly smart, is vegan, and watches the news for fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he's automatically great,
right,
obviously.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes through the relationships and stuff that he has with the people that, you know, his friends and things like that. Again, without giving any spoilers, it's pretty great. And it's one of those, well, no, I don't want to give any spoilers.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Like, I keep wanting to expand on all the cool stuff we read this month, but because it's not a bottom pick, and I don't want to spoil it for you, I don't want you to spoil anything for me in case I am able to pick up these books. And it's like, ooh, it's so hard to not be like, blah, all this fantastic things. So.
But yeah, it was fun. I'm going to definitely finish that series. It's completed now, so that's a definite plus of that one is being able to jump in and knowing I can finish the whole thing. But that's also kind of heartbreaking because, like, I feel like I kind of know where this can go, or maybe, you know? Right. So I don't know. TJ Klune likes to break my heart. This one was the funnier one. This one did not have, aside from the tragic situation of mom taking off and things like that, this one mostly was not as heartbreaking as a lot of the other TJ Klune stuff can tend to be.
Mm-hmm.
It did not make me cry, at least not sad cry. And I'm sorry, Jason Momoa just posted a video on Instagram.
That is important. That is very important. We can stop this right now.
But we won't. It'll still be there.
Yes.
What was I saying?
Everything pauses when Jason Momoa posts on Instagram.
Okay, yeah, so I read that one.
Mm-hmm.
Polar opposite, I picked up Olive Juice because that's another one that I've seen kind of pop up in conversation, and that is not a happy story. I picked that one up because it was short, and I wanted to try to get in as much reading as I could, and I was like, this one's standalone, this isn't even a series, I can just gobble this right up. And I did, until it ate me from the inside out and made me sob, and then it tried to comfort me as I'm like a crying, horrible mess. And I cannot...
TJ Klune books do.
Yeah, I can't really say anything else about it, because there is kind of some twists. And something is, I mean, it's not even a 200-page book. It's really short. But so much happens, and there's so many twists and turns without there being twists and turns. So, like, I don't even really know how to describe this book. But I know you won't read it because I'm telling you right now that it's heartbreaking.
If it's going to make me cry, I probably won't, because Wolfsong really kicked my ass. And I don't... Like, I really, really like his work, but man, because he's so good, he will make me ugly cry, and I don't handle it well. And unless you want 85 text messages at like 6 o'clock in the morning or something.
You're always welcome to text me 85 text messages at 6 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes you do that anyways.
Yeah, I know. But these will be sad ones.
Yes, but I've been through the pain, so I'll just cackle at you. It's
fine. True. We'll be like, LOL, and it great. And I'm like, no!
Yeah, because even Wolfsong had its ups. This one, not really so much. Like, there are some beautiful moments that could make you smile for sure, but fuck, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle that. At least with Wolfsong, it had a lot of really great humor and happy times before some sad stuff, but holy shit. If there's no ups, you'll find me as a ball under some coats.
In this weather.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other one was, and I'm only about halfway through this one, but I freaking love it, and I think you would love this one too, because so far, it's TJ Klune, so there's a little bit of, like, sad premise to it, kind of similar to Bear Otter and the Kid, as far as, like, there's, like, sad setup to the situation of the main character. And, you know, that kind of remains its, like, own tragic little bit, but it's fucking hilarious. There are these characters called the We Three Queens, who are these three older ladies who have matching leather jackets, and the main character can't tell if they are sisters or lesbians or what, but they call themselves the We Three Queens, and they're fucking great. They're hilarious, and I love them, and I wish I knew them in real life. And it's about this guy named Gus who has a bunch of... He's kind of a scally guy, reads encyclopedias for fun, like not your most mainstream kind of person, who thinks very ill of hipsters and everything that they are and everything that they express in life. And here comes this asexual hipster to town and everything that goes with them interacting, and it's freaking great. I am adoring it so much. I'm only halfway through it, but it's brilliant, and I love it, and it's very funny, and I think you would love that, especially because it's the personalities within it. I think you'll really appreciate, and it's funny. So
all right, so I'll read it.
So
I'll let you finish it. Let me know if there's any sad, so I can go
let you know if I cry at all.
Yeah, so I can go into it knowing that. If there's not any moments that'll make me ugly sob, then yay, bonus points. But yeah, I'll pick that one up for sure.
Yeah. Did you read anything else, or?
I think that's everything I was able to get to this month.
Well, then, having said that, the reason I read so much TJ Klune is, if you guys follow our Facebook at all, you know I've been really stupid excited for Raven Song coming out. It's the sequel to Wolf Song, which has been out for a bit, and I've just been super, super looking forward to it, and you have been too. Yes. And when I realized how excited I was for it, I realized at that point I had read so very few. I had read some Verania, and I had read Wolf Song. But that was really the end of my TJ Klune experience, and as much as I loved his writing, I needed to have more Klune under my belt. That not wrong.
Leave it.
Well, pretty sure he wouldn't be into it, but okay. Regardless, needed to read more TJ Klune. Shut up.
Oh my god, I love this podcast.
Anyways, so I wanted to read some. I picked some across the different series that he has, and part of that was because I was so... Would you stop looking at me like that?
I'm so fucking tickled. I can't even. Oh my god, I love it.
Can't even with you right now. Okay. Anywho. So, back to my really exciting information.
Sorry, yes.
She's not really sorry.
No.
So, back to my really exciting information was... Part of the reason I wanted to make sure I read more of his work is because we totally scored an interview with TJ Klune.
We totally did. I'm still giggly about that because the whole time, like, when we sent the email, I was like, he's probably super busy because TJ Klune do. And he got back with us pretty fast and was like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, really? Are you sure? Like, really? So, but man, that was such a good interview, and he's fantastic and funny and lovely, and I adore the hell out of him. So, yeah, we're pretty damn excited. So, yeah, he's going to be our interview for our August top episode, so I'm pretty jazzed about it.
Yeah, so look out for that.
Yes.
And do we have anything else for this month?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we read a ton of things and giggled about TJ Klune being awesome, and it's been a pretty great month.
Yeah, so if you have read any of the ones that we had in our summer reading, go ahead and join us on our Goodreads or Facebook discussion groups. Mm-hmm. Jump in on that. Even if you, 6 months from now, decide to read any of these, jump in. Seriously, we monitor this stuff. We get alerts, so we will jump in and totally talk to you about any of these books.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you had anything for your summer reading, start your own thread. You can totally do that as well.
Yeah, I highly recommend that because we're always looking for cool stuff to read. I know that Anne-Marie on our Goodreads recommended some stuff that she was reading this month that she adored. I think she's going back through and reading a lot of Cut and Run, would put that seed in my head. And she was also really into the Death Instruction series. So, but yeah, if you guys have anything that you read that you really like, jump in, start a thread. I mean, if other people in our group have read it, they'll jump in. If we haven't, we'll at least add it to our to read pile so we know what to read next. So, always looking for stuff like that.
So yeah, join us next week where we drop our episode talking to the amazing, magnificent, wonderful, epic TJ Klune.
Yes, fistful of awesome, if I dare say.
Yes, and I think you do say on the podcast, yeah, or in the interview. And yeah, until then, we will see you next time.
Bye!
Bye!